Here with us now, a Democratic candidate for Texas governor, Texas state senator, Wendy Davis. Her memoir is titled Forgetting to Be Afraid. You forgot, right, to be afraid?
I did. I'm not afraid this
It sure seems like it, because you've had a lot of bumps in the road with people attacking you on different levels, from your parenting to your stance on some key issues. So first of all, big picture, how's the race going?
I think the race is going unbelievably well. We have a very aggressive ground game going on in Texas, and the energy and enthusiasm behind this race is like nothing I've ever seen in our state.
It's an uphill battle, though, obviously. Democrats haven't won statewide in a really long time. And I've heard you say that there aren't really that many general elections that count in Texas. So you've got to sort of re-educate a lot of Democrats that have stayed home for a very long time. How long has it been since there's been a really competitive statewide race?
It really was that last race that Ann Richards lost in 1994.
Yeah.
And so we are trying to break through and, as you said, educate the electorate. I feel like we have an excited and engaged electorate around this midterm race that isn't typical for Texas.
Let's talk about the book. You decided to go there. I mean, it's
in a lot of ways.
Really tough book. A lot of people obviously talked about your filibuster, but you in here, while you're reading the story of other women who had abortions under difficult circumstances, you didn't talk about a couple that you had.
Two abortions.
And in both cases, fairly tragic.
Yes.
Tell us about it and why you put it in the book.
The first was an ectopic pregnancy, which of course is dangerous for a woman. The second was one where we were told that our very much loved and wanted daughter had a severe brain abnormality, and we had to confront what we would do.
And you had already given her a name, hadn't you?
Tate Elise.
Yeah.
We went to 4 different doctors, hoping that someone would give us a different ray or a small ray of hope, and none could. They told us that if she survived to term, she likely wouldn't survive delivery, and if she survived delivery, she likely would be in a permanent vegetative state. And we did what we felt was the most loving thing for our daughter.
Right.
When we went through the experience, my doctor provided us with some really good material to read. I wanted to be able to do the same thing for other people that these folks did for my husband and I. When we read it, it was very helpful to us.
You didn't bring this up in your many hours of filibustering in that moment that really put you in the national stage. Why not?
I thought about it, and I write about it in the book. I thought about it especially as I read a story that was very much like mine. But I feared that if I did, it would make the day about me. And the day needed to be about other people in Texas, all of those voices that felt like they hadn't been heard and had been ignored. And I was trying to give voice to them.
Senator, because of the way you rose to national prominence with that filibuster, you've been so identified with the issue of abortion, and you write about it in the book. Do you think that's hurt you at all inside the state of Texas, where you go out and that's the first thing people want to talk to you about, and maybe you want to talk about jobs or health care or something else that's important to Texans?
What I'm pleased to see as this race is shaping up is that what people really want to talk to me about is education. And I write about in my book. My breakthrough from single mom poverty came through a path that was made possible by education. And I previously had a filibuster in 2011 to stop $5.5 billion from being cut from our public schools. So I'm very well known for my fight to create more support for public ed, greater access to higher ed, and that really is the central issue in this race.
Mark Halperin's in D.C. has a question for you. Mark?
Senator Davis, you're not running against Rick Perry, but you're running to replace him against Greg Abbott, the Attorney General of your state. Governor Perry's big call for his record, big claim, is on the economy and jobs. You're talking about education, infrastructure. What are you promising the voters of Texas, if they elect you, you'll do in terms of improving on or keeping up with Rick Perry's? What kind of economic growth would your policies bring about? What kind of job creation?
So the big issue for us is what will we do in this path forward for Texas? And education truly is the key. I was watching a story earlier on this show talking about the inability to fill certain job sectors because of the lack of a trained workforce to do that. And we know in Texas we've got a real challenge with our human resources, with our capacity to fill those jobs, because we don't have the training for the jobs of tomorrow. And it's why I've made it the central focus of this race.
But would your job growth under a Davis administration be as fast or faster than it's been under Governor Perry?
I believe very strongly in some of the tools that we've wisely used in Texas, the economic development tools, the public-private partnerships. This was an area of expertise for me when I was on the Fort Worth City Council for the 9 years that I was there. And I believe we need to continue to use them. We need to continue to make sure that Texas leads the nation in economic growth. And it's my plan not only to continue to strongly urge the use of those tools, but to do it in a way that's transparent and accountable. I was very proud in the last legislative session to pass an audit for the first time of the way some of those funds are being used to make sure that our private partners are living up to their end of the bargain.
Looking at pictures of your beautiful daughters in this book, I know you've talked a lot about them, and you've been criticized for your parenting skills and choices along the way. And I think it's interesting. You're right now in some polls losing with women in Texas, and I wonder what you make of that, and if you think there's any connection to the criticism that you've received, because you talk about making the path possible for everyone through education. Your path to educate yourself was long and arduous, and it had some really difficult decisions where at times your children couldn't be with you, and you were judged extremely harshly for those decisions. By the way, a man would never be judged for that, and you did these things to better yourself and to bring up your family, and yet it's seen in such a different light, and I'm wondering sometimes if women actually judge that decision. What do you think?
I certainly hope not. My daughters are amazing young women. My oldest daughter is here with me this morning and has been significantly helping me.
And the product of your hard work.
And the product of hard work. You know, we grew up through some tough times together, she and I. And I think our story is a story of success. It's a story of overcoming the odds. And that was all made possible because of education. And I'm proud of the path that I took to make a better life.
I want to just read one other part of this book, because it talks about what a moving book, what a remarkable life you've had, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. And I can say this: I'm selling the book. I'm a Republican, and I would not vote for Miss Davis, but I can still love the book. Be moved.
I'm going to work on
moved by, I think, an inspirational story. But this is a part. Your mother was a single mother. She struggled with thoughts of suicide.
Yes.
And this is what you write: as she was contemplating taking her life and the lives of her 3 young children, an angel came into her life that day. A neighbor who had never come into her home before rang the bell, and he sat in the living room. He held my mother's hand. He talked to her for quite some time. And by the time he left, she was through it. And she came and collected us from the car and put one foot in front of the other and pushed on for all of us and did a beautiful job of it.
She did.
There are so many, you know, we always hear about the bad in the world. There's so many angels out there, aren't there? There really are.
I've been blessed by so many in my life. I truly have.
What an incredible
Where the title of the book? You said who inspired the title
Lady
of the book?
Bird Johnson, when asked, she was very shy, how she overcame that to do some of the things that she did. She said, you have to get so wrapped up in something that you forget to be afraid. And that's the story of my life. It truly is.
And
It sounds like a really powerful book. Thank you for coming.
the book is
And good
Forgetting
luck.
to Be Afraid.
Wait,
Wendy
you got to
Davis.
ask her, because she's running Herald. We always know this, right? Ask her how many days until the election.
How many days to the election?
54.
You always know, don't you? They got it. You know, I had one of them too. She said before, and she had a tearaway calendar. And that's what I didn't have a tearaway calendar, but I had this big magic marker. Yeah.